Okay, so get yourself ready for your restorative practice. Have a blanket over the top of your mat, and then have your bolster and some blocks for your feet, and have whatever you need to keep yourself feeling warm. So bolster from underneath your knees, a block for your feet, or one block for each foot, and then a folded blanket for your head. If you've got something to cover your eyes with, then use that. If you need to cover yourself up, because although it's June, it should be summer, it's quite cold still, isn't it? So if you need to wear a blanket, then do. So just get yourself ready. Just don't be in a rush to get into your resting position, but just observe how your body feels initially, just supported by the floor. So this first opportunity to release into the floor, I always find the most blissful time of the day, where you've been at it all day and it's just nice to finally give yourself the opportunity to relax and to commit to your relaxation. So sometimes we need to give ourselves permission to relax. Sometimes we feel like we don't have the right to relax, but actually relaxation is never a selfish pursuit, because it's all about just replenishing your energy. And then afterwards, you can give energy back to the people who rely on you for energy. So adjust your position if you need to, just with the prioritizing relaxation. Just allow the body to sink into the floor. Just focus on listening to the breath. Just focusing on the length of the in-breath and the length of the out-breath. Without trying to control it, just observe where it is naturally. Draw your attention into the physical body, observing where the body makes connection with the ground and the folded blanket and the bolster and the blocks. Just mentally scan the body for areas of resistance. And then draw your attention into the soles of the feet, so that the soles of the feet tingle with consciousness. Draw your attention to the soles of the feet and then consciously relax the soles of the feet. Relax the soles of the feet and draw your consciousness into the tops of the feet. Draw your attention into the tops of the feet and then gently soften the top of the foot. Relax the tops of the feet and draw your attention into your shins. Just draw your attention into the shins and consciously relax the shins, allowing the fronts of the shin bones to sink into the bed of the calf muscle. Relax the fronts of the shins into the calves and soften around the knees. Soften around the knees, just releasing the cartilage around the knees, releasing the muscles around the knees. Draw your attention into your thighs. Allow the fronts of the thighs to sink into the backs of the thighs. resting the fronts of the thighs into the backs of the thighs, letting the legs completely relax into the floor. Just allowing the legs to sink into the ground. Just allowing the fronts of the thighs to sink into the backs of the thighs, the fronts of the shins to sink into the backs of the legs, into the calves, letting the legs just rest on the bolster. Draw your attention into your abdomen. Breathing into your abdomen, filling the abdomen with air with your inhalation, and then allowing yourself to relax a little more each time with the exhalation. Draw your attention into your abdomen and allow the abdomen to sink into the ground. Soften the muscles around the chest and the intercostal muscles between the ribs. Soften your shoulders. Draw your attention to the chest and the shoulders, really letting go of tension around the shoulders. Drawing that relaxation into the upper arms and into the lower arms so that the arms and the legs feel heavy on the floor. But that heaviness won't last very long. It will just transform into lightness and positive energy. Releasing the shoulders and the upper arms and the forearms down into the hands, just letting the arms relax into the floor. Release the shoulders and the arms and soften the neck. Soften the muscles around the face. Release the jaw by drawing the lower teeth away from the upper jaw. Soften the face and the skin of the face and release in the inner ear. Just allowing the body to surrender into the straight line of the floor. So as you know, as we progress into our practice, I'll speak less and less so that the priority can be on relaxation rather than listening. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, just bring yourself back into this pose of Shavasana. And then bend your knees, bring your feet onto the bolster. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little gentle rock from side to side on your back, just massaging out the spine. And then roll onto your right side and then straighten out the top leg, and then come up into cross legs. Just hold onto your knees for a moment, and then just lift up into the chest. Just observe how your energy is changed from how it was at the beginning, just by giving yourself that relaxation time. We're going to do child's pose. So if you've got a couple of, I've got cat hair all over this. So if you've got two bolsters, then use two bolsters. So you have one bolster between your knees. You might only have one bolster, and that's fine. So you might want to just give yourself some extra lift along the top of the bolster. You just have a folded blanket. You can fold it up extra thick, so you've got a little bit of extra space. Or you might want two bolsters, one on top of the other. I think the cats have been sitting on these. It's got lots of fur all over it. So you're just going to sit back on your heels for a moment, and then we're just going to lift up into the chest and drive the chest along the bolster, and then rest your head on one side. You can let your arms just hang down to the floor. So the higher up you are, the more likely your arms will be that you can they can just hang there. If your elbows easily reach the ground, then just bring your elbows a little wider apart so that you're not supporting your weight with your arms. So that's the priority. There should be no action in the arms. Just let the arms relax. Just rest your head on one side, and as you know, as we progress into the sequence, I'll speak less and less, just to give you an opportunity to relax rather than having to listen. But in this pose, in this child's pose, just drape over the bolster. Let the shoulders soften. Just rest your head on one side and then alternate it. Just making sure that each side gets even amount of time. So I'll talk you through when I'm moving the position of my head, but you just move the position of your head whenever it feels comfortable. So maybe turn your head, rest your head on the other side of the face. Just give the neck just an even stretch. Rest your head on the other side. Again, just evening out the stretch on the neck. Swap your head one more time. Just each time you swap your head, just observe how perhaps there's more space. Okay, and then bring your hands underneath your shoulders, push yourself up into a seated position. Just sit back on your heels for a moment. Again, just observing how your energy feels. And then just get one bolster, and we're just going to do a side lying stretch. This is a really good one for if you've got a stiff back. So the top of your hip just comes onto the kind of front end of the bolster, but it's really the armpit chest. Oh no, it's not. It's really the side abdomen that is supported. So the hip is just on the end of the far end of the bolster, and then you just stretch yourself out along the bolster. Just stretch your arms out, stretch your legs out. You can initially just have a good old stretch, and then just after you've had a stretch, then just let the body relax. You might want to bring the front foot forwards or the top foot back, just somewhere where you can balance, where you don't have to work really hard. You're just using the gravity to open up the hips. So the side lying stretch is a really good one for just opening up the back. It's a good one for a stiff back. Just letting your body relax into the ground, just using the bolster to open up the hips and stretch out the lower back. And then just bend your knees a little, roll onto your front, and then push your elbows into the floor and sit yourself just back up onto your seat bones. Just observe how your energy feels after the previous pose. And then we'll just do the same pose but on the other side. So remember, it's just the top of the hip resting and the abdomen resting on the bolster, and then just stretch yourself out. Just have a good old stretch to start off with, so lengthening into the arms and into the legs, and then just let the knees relax a little, let the arms relax a little, and then just use the bolster to open up the lower back. And then gently roll yourself onto your front. Just push your elbows into the floor, come up onto your knees, and then just sit back on your heels. Again, just observing the energy that you have released, not just around the back, but around the shoulders and around the hips. And then we're just going to do a pose with no bolsters. So you're just going to lay on the floor. This is just the half frog. So you're just going to lay directly down onto the floor. You create a little pillow for your head by putting one hand on top of the other. And then you keep one leg where it is. So maybe keep your left leg where it is, and then bend out the right knee to the side, and then rest your head on your hands with your head in the same position, in the same direction as your bent knee. So you just bend out the knee, just rest down into the floor. So again, a really good pose for softening your back, but also gentle pose for opening up the hips. So it's the half frog. And then lift your head, just straighten out the leg, just rest with both hips flat on the floor. And then bend out the other leg, rest your head with your chin in the same direction as the knee. Bring in the other leg out to the side, just bending in a little right angle, keeping the other leg straight. So just doing the mirror image of the previous pose. So again, a really comfortable position to open up the front of the hip, just to soften the back, and to help the body to release. And then just lift your head, just bring both legs straight, just lay on your front for a moment, and then just push yourself up into a seated position. Just observe the energy around the hips and the chest. And then we'll finish off with our restorative surfboard. So just have your bolster laying in front of you like this. Have a block for your head. You might want your blanket over, just draping over the top of that block, just to give you a little bit of cushioning. If you've got a second bolster or a small bolster like a rolled up blanket or something, have that underneath your shins. Just helps you to relax. And then you're just going to come along the front of the bolster. The priority here is that your head is, your chin isn't trapped on the end of the bolster, so you might have to just shuffle along a little bit so that your chin is free at the end of the bolster, and then just support your head on the block and the blanket, and then just let your arms rest. Just bend your elbows, let your arms rest on the floor, just by the shoulders and the side of the block. And then allow yourself to just gently release into the floor. And we can incorporate our back breathing technique here, where you breathe in in deeply into the top of the back, from the center of the shoulder blades out into the armpits, and then just a normal exhalation. And then you inhale into the middle of the back, and into the thoracic spine, and out into the side ribs, and then a normal exhalation. And then breathe in all the way down into the lower back, spreading out into the hips, and then a normal exhalation. So breathing into the upper back, the middle back, and then the lower back, with normal exhalations in between. Just cycling around those 3 breaths. Releasing into the ground, just letting the shoulders completely relax, the neck relax, letting the back just really spread out with the breath. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Just push yourself up into just sitting back on your heels, just into a little Virasana for a moment. And then sit on your bolster, just sitting cross legs. Just come into a good cross-legged position. With your hands in Namaste, just a final spinal lift, drawing your breath in through your nose and down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this evening, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy, the extensions and the relaxation poses bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just giving the back of the neck a really good stretch. Just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then when you're ready, just gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy, giving yourself good, positive energy to put into your evening. So thank you very much for joining me.